Map, I mean, you probably want to start getting people there 20 seconds before, at least one person. Just locking it down, making sure it's secure. You can go a little bit earlier sometimes, sort of depends on the player, the map, and the spawn of the items. The yellow LG guy probably wants to come a little bit later, but the rest of your team needs to be there for sure 15 seconds, 10 seconds at the latest before to make sure it is secure and locked down. The positions you take up, it's like we would say on any map, defending an area or specifically a quad. The further you can push out, the safer that area is going to be.
Yeah, you need to use the map routes to your advantage. Now, as we covered earlier, the only way from the low part of the map, you know, down there or down in this area of the red room, the only way from high to low, sorry, from low to high, is through the teleporter or the staircase in the lightning gun yellow room. So, what does that say to you? Ideally, and this isn't always possible, but it's in an ideal world, one person can push out all the way to this sort of area. Now, obviously, you have to be concerned about that spawn there and that spawn there, but you've got the teleporter covered, and you've got this pillar for dodging that spawner, and you'd presumably have a teammate in there helping you with anyone that spawns there. You block the spawn, obviously, that you're standing on behind the telly. Now, it's not always easy to get to quad, make sure quad's okay, and then actually get someone into this position, but it is, you know, in an ideal world where you would stop people coming into quad from this side of the map.
It's unlikely you're going to probably get in a position to do that, but it's always worth the thought process of thinking that if we could push out that far, then let's take advantage of that. But say
yeah, because it's all about slowing people down. Now let's, you know, the other team, spawners or people coming out from LG yellow, you know, they have to first deal with you here. Now, even if you just do some damage, even if you die, it's fine. But then you'd have someone here as well, dealing with that spawner, helping the guy on the bridge here. And then the other side, the reverse is true again. You know,
and this is a safer position because there's no spawners as well.
If you've got someone out the other side, you're going to have advanced warning on whether anyone is going to come through this teleporter. So obviously, don't stand on this teleporter. But, you know, again, as I mentioned with the nade launcher earlier, nades into this position, pushing around that corner becomes a very difficult prospect. I mean, as soon as you hear some nades hit, you can even back off further.
Yeah, and that guy is probably not even going to try and risk going that route. They're going to back off, turn around, and try and go the main route at that point.
Yeah. You know, but, you know, these are just ideal positions because, now let's say your whole team is here. You know, one person here, one person on the quad waiting for it, another one here and another one here or so. When you're this far back, all you do is invite pressure onto you. And, you know, when you're clumped up, you're taking, you know, you've got multiple people getting hit by the same shotgun hits, multiple people getting hit by the same rocket launcher hits. You know, while it can be difficult to actually push out as far as this and, you know, be in these positions, you know, these are the ideal positions for this map because, as I said, this teleporter this side and the teleporter in the main bridge room, those are the only ways to get up to the quad level other than a rocket jump from there or there.
If you can't push out that far, then obviously you need to use the right weapons in the right areas. Generally, you want a railer maybe covering the back if you've got a rail, and you know we're not talking about we're talking about limited weapons as well. They have to hit their shots, so you want a strong railer covering that.
And these are clutch shots because, you know, as someone comes through the telly, like you don't know what weapons they're going to have. Maybe one has an LG, or maybe there's an LG coming from the grenade launcher. You know, you've got opportunities here and there, but then if you've missed those shots and the player gets to here, here's where you start having to worry a bit more because let's say it's a lightning gunner. You know, you've got very little room to dodge in this position that I'm firing at now. You know, you're a fairly easy kill for anyone who's even slightly decent with the lightning gun. You know, and then your whole setup is broken.
Yeah,
They might
usually
be
you
in on the
would, you would
quad.
end up backing off. You probably back round the corner onto the quad position, in which case they just run round. They know where you are. They're going to dive around the corner and
Yeah, and they can pre-fire you with rockets or whatever other weapons they have. So, being pushed out as far as you can is ideal, but it's obvious that you can't always do that.
obviously at the front doorway you have a shotgun right there, so often you will have a shotgun defender. Now you don't want to take any machine gun damage, so you hug the wall is probably the most simple.
Yeah, you can hug it there, or if you've got multiple people here, you can have one person
Yeah.
further back than this. Obviously you have to worry about guys spawning there. You've got limited room to dodge because you have to worry about your teammate firing at you as well. So, you're kind of like easier to hit. But once you've got your whole team pushed back into the quad, there is limited room. So positions like this might have to be taken up by someone.
So then the quad grab, you got to be careful with rocket jumpers from below as well. That's always a little bit of a threat. It's not
If I can even
often,
do the rocket jump, of course.
It's not often that people would do that.
But you get the idea.
Yeah, I think people know what a rocket jump
Doing
is.
it windowed is not ideal.
And you've also got to be careful they don't spam onto that point. Grenades can reach up there, and you can get a good rail shot on the quad. We've seen you do that in a match before, Vor.
Yeah, these grenades obviously are... Sometimes they're temperamental, sometimes they just seem to hit the edge like that. Whether that's me mistiming it or not, I can't tell. But yeah, if you've decided you can't get on the quad, you can do nades like the ones I just used. You can even rail it as it's picked up.
Yeah, that is pretty much on the quad, by the way.
Yeah.
So,
Because, and actually, I'll point it out. If you want to avoid being hit by that rail, you have to grab quad pretty much like this. If you know there's a railer down there, and then you can't be hit.
and be
'Cause
wary of rockets.
if you grab it here, you're an easy shot. Even if you grab it here, I still believe your head gets hit. So,
Yeah.
careful. Don't just grab it and think you're safe.
So on that quad spot, I mean, the safest thing to do is hug the wall, just grab it like Vor did. Also be wary of any kind of rocket spam, splash damage off the back wall that people might try and do. But generally that's not going to be too much of an issue, because if you win the quad, you've probably killed most of their team anyway, trying to win it and attack it. Teams are very good at actually attacking the quad on this map. People do remember to do it, and you usually get big battles over it. Looking at when you've picked up the quad, you're starting on the quad spot. Now it's very tempting, because you've got two. Go on this quad spot and look out. You've picked up the quad. 2 blind doorways you've got there. So you've got 2 blind doorways, and it's very tempting.
And you're thinking, look, I
Ooh,
need the 50
yummy.
health. I need it. But how often do we see the quad drop down here, and then there's someone in this position which you cannot see as you drop down, unless you angle your mouse correctly. But you find a lot of people with the various setups they have, if they actually flick their mouse to look at positions like this as they're falling, they often find it hard to recover and then aim properly. So depending on people's mouse sense, it can be a difficult thing to...
To be honest, Vor, not
aim at
even that
someone in this
hidden
position.
position. People drop off automatically.
Yeah,
And
people
there
just
can be
take it for
anybody
granted
standing
it's
here.
safe down there. I mean, we see people pummeling from positions like this and this, waiting for them to just drop for the 50, and very humiliating for whoever's been.
So you've got 2
Possession
points.
of that
You've got 2
quad.
points there, really. As a quad, you need to be aware of that, and as a counter to quad, that's a possibility to do that. So be aware. Also, if you've got dynamic lights on, you should see the glow through the floor of where the quad goes. So often, if I'm caught in that position, I can just look up and see if the quad's run off and which direction he's running. So then I can make a call based on that and decide on my next move based on that. Because obviously you don't want to just run straight into the quad. It's probably too risky. You don't really know his health often. So, or if he's low, then yeah, I'm going to chase him down. I'm going to run after him. But you picked up the quad. You've got to be wary of that. It is a good option sometimes to drop off. If it is clear there's 50 health, why not?
Yeah, I mean, for example, it's
Red's
clear.
up. Red's up, Vor.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm straight onto the red. And if you know the time on red, then that should be quad's first port of call. And then from there, I mean, if you've taken red, please don't do what so many people do and feel like I'm invincible now. I've got quad, I've got red armor. I'm going to come up this staircase.
Ow,
because,
ow, what's going on? Oh,
yeah,
no.
I'm dead. Exactly.
Yeah.
If you have come this way to get to the red, either go back to the teleporter in there, or come round for this teleporter.
Which is the ideal one, I would say.
Yeah. First thing that quads will normally do is make sure that this room is secure. Now, whether or not a team actually tries to make a stand in this room against quad is completely random. I mean, some teams feel they can do it. I mean, if the quad isn't stacked, then actually coming in here against 3 players can actually be too much for even like a good aiming quad to handle. So
it's a tight doorway. It's a risk.
Yeah, it's often best to wait for teammates. I mean, if you're so stacked and you're just so confident that you can do it, by all means, head in with the quad, secure this, tell a teammate to come here immediately and hold it.
Don't waste time as a quad standing there. There's no spawners in there, of course, and probably nobody's going to run there. Now they know the quad's there, so you're not going to get any more frags. You need to replace...
And then you have to decide, where do you go with the quad? If you come out, you've got 2 choices, either right or left. Now, either is a viable choice. You could have a spawner there, you know, but equally you could have nobody spawn there, and they could have all spawned in this back room, so, you know, maybe they're waiting in here. Often we see teams hide in positions like that and hope that the quad comes, because then, you know, if quad drops down to attack these people here, check that there's anyone here. When they retreat through the teleporter, a lot of quads are not going to chase through. Now, maybe the quad is so stacked, and you know that's quite often the case, they feel they can safely come through the telly, but you know, almost always going to come through and find yourself getting pummeled. And be warned that if you come through this teleporter and jump and someone's here with pummel, it sends you flying down here.
So you have to be objective oriented when you're making the quad run. It is about frags, but it's always about securing items and areas first and foremost.
If you're looking for frags, then as quad you always come and check this room, see if there's anything happening on bridge. If there's been any kills, just pause momentarily and look at the spawn points. No kills happening, then continue your run. Go through the telly. Same thing again. Is there any activity at the spawn points? Pick up kills if you can. Check these again. Back onto the bridge, and it's just a cycle over and over again.
This is why I described it as a half and half map.
Yeah.
Because all the spawn points are on these 2 sides of the map, which means you can get a perfect cycle going on frags. We see 10, even like up to 15 frags potentially on a quad run. If you get a good cycle, you get lucky spawns, and you actually hit your shots. You can get frag after frag after frag after frag.
Exactly.
But the key things are always on every map when you get the power up, objective #1, and on this map that is to win the lightning gun yellow room. And it doesn't matter what strategy you're playing, that is always the ideal thing, because if you're holding yellow, obviously you want it. If you're not holding yellow, you don't want them to have it, so you might as well win it over. Win it over, lightning gun yellow. You can, if they're up, that's perfect. If they're not, you just kill whoever's there, and they've lost that stack that they've probably just picked up. And then your second objective will be to go out and make sure red's won, or just secure that kind of area while you're getting the frags. It's sort of a one. It's a second objective that sort of fits 2 criteria, because all the frags are going to be in that area anyway. So it's fine to move to that location. But obviously the route might be a call that you've got red and quad, and they say red's up, so you get red first. That doesn't mean that you've then secured that area. It's not the kind of area you secure like that. So even though you then might go to yellow, secure yellow, it doesn't mean, oh, job done, we've secured red and yellow, because you haven't secured red really, because red is the item that's always contested, and it's all about the time. So you would then use the end of that quad run once you secured yellow and a teammate's taken over to go out and get the kills, do the damage around the red area, so you then get the next pickup as well. And it's only 25 seconds between the 2, so that should be part of like just the end of your run, helping secure that area.
Yeah, exactly. If you've taken the red at the beginning of your quad run after dropping down, then try and end your quad run there. You should have time to come to yellow, clear that out if there's anyone here, do a cycle of the teleporters like I showed, and then just end up at red again and take the next red.
So, I mean, I think that's much of the strategy of the map. If we're talking about setups, we started off saying you could potentially put 4 people on the red And that to me, and making sure they get the back yellow, maybe even pressuring the mega sometimes, but that's a viable tactic. Putting 4 people on the yellow and LG room, I don't think is a viable tactic, unless, well,
it depends on the game.
If it's a very close, tight game, and that's the way you're playing it, and you're playing it for the power-ups, then I guess potentially yes, you could play that way.
But you are inviting pressure onto you if literally your whole team is within this area. Say you've got someone here, 2 people in here, and then another down there, or down waiting for mega or whatever. If you withdraw entirely from red, you do invite pressure, because it allows people to set up with rail from this side, from this side as well. I mean, believe it or not, you can hit shots in this tight little angle here. They're quite difficult, of course, but they are hittable. And you're just inviting a hell of a lot of pressure when really you want to be out and using that LG aggressively. I mean, LG, with rail, the 2 dominant weapons of this map, there are opportunities to use rocket launcher in some of the close combat down at the red or around teleporters, but a lot of the rockets other than that are quite long range and more just covering spam shots, if anything. So you've got to use that lightning gun to its fullest.
So I think other ways of playing the map, I mean, as I described earlier, the way a lot of teams are doing it nowadays is putting 1 person, they would rush the yellow with 4, make sure they've secured that, and then straight out 3 of the players run out and take back the red. And that kind of rush game is really effective, because the other team can't settle in, and especially if you won the yellow, then you do have that 1 settled player who's stacking up, taking advantage of the armor and the LG, and the rest of your team's just rushing around that red, causing loads of damage and mayhem, diving towards the back yellow if they can. And that way of playing it is probably the ideal way to play it now. Make sure you win yellow quickly, don't overcommit, and don't commit for too long, but win it quickly and then move out. But the focus and the pressure at red and rail needs to be all the time.
Yeah, because if you plan on playing with 1 person in here and then you don't put the pressure on the red and rail, all you're going to do is pretty much say to the other team, there's a single guy in here, we're giving you reds and rails, just come in and kill him. If you're playing 1 player in there, free at red, and they're not getting the red, then you might actually have to quickly reassess what you're doing, because split like that and it not working can quickly lead to you actually giving up a lot of frags. I mean, these 3 players who are attacking red and rail, they are actually going to be operating with very low resources, not ideal weapons a lot of the time. I mean, quite often you're going to want, if possible, if there's lightning gun spare, you're going to want to make sure you actually try and share the lightning guns around. That's harder than it sounds, because 1 player gives up pressuring red to come and get a lightning gun. The 2 players who are still in the red armor area, they could be fighting up to 4 other players. So got to make sure that what you're doing is working, and if it's not working, change it up.
It's very much about momentum, this map. It's about the transitions in control and taking advantage when you should be able to spot the situation when you are at the point where you can start to, as we would call it, dominate the map, where you can just run the map. Pretty much your opposition is all fresh spawners constantly, and that's when you need to dive in and take advantage of the situation. And that's the same with every map. You need to not die when you're a little bit down and behind, and maybe it's a close game, but as soon as you get that upper hand, you need to smash down and take advantage of it. And that's very key on this map, is registering the momentum of the map and the play, and that often comes with the power-up play. I mean, that's the most obvious, is when you get a power-up run, you get a lot of frags, they get a lot of deaths, they're very weak, you've just taken key items, you've got control of the yellow room. That's when you need to take advantage. Yeah, I think I can't think of anything we've missed for. Probably have, but
well, we've outlined a lot of ways of thinking about how to play this map. I mean, obviously it's impossible for us to cover every possible outcome, but you know, I think we've covered a lot of things.
Yeah, obviously these are quite long videos, but it is just us discussing it off the top of our heads. We will have missed some things, I'm sure. I'm sure you can put in the comments complaints about where you missed how to control the plasma ammo. What are you doing? You're crazy. But, you know, a lot of things you can still work out for yourselves. This is just general sort of strategy overview, the kind of thought processes, and the way the maps play, I guess, is the description we're going for. It is a very aggressive map. There is a lot of combat going on. It's not a map you're generally going to be playing teams that are going to be sitting back and camping. That is that possibility that they can play that in a yellow, a Loctite yellow game. I've seen teams like the Russians play a very slow game on the red side of the map, when the other team isn't quite as confident in pushing out the yellow either. So you can get slow games on this map, but generally speaking, it's going to be quite an aggressive, fast-paced map that requires a lot of technical skill and can reach some high frag counts.
Yeah, and you know, if you lose the momentum and all of a sudden large frag turnarounds are possible. I mean, you can go 30, 40 frags ahead, but if you don't keep up, you know, what got you that lead in the first place, if you don't keep the pressure on the reds, if you don't hold the lightning gun yellow or keep pressure on the lightning gun in yellow, then all of a sudden the other team, they're more than capable of turning the game around. I mean, it's quite possible to see evenly matched teams have huge frag swings on this map.
Right, so I think that is the end of this video. So just remember, everybody, I was Disrepute, and Vor is our superstar TDM expert. On Level Up TV, that's at levelupyourgame.net, our website. Please remember to subscribe to the YouTube to get these videos. That is /leveluptv. Like us on Facebook. I just put up polls and just random comments and images and video links and stuff like that on there occasionally. That doesn't go anywhere else on the other stuff, so it's always worth liking that. And obviously, if we can spread the word about Level Up TV, which is basically Quake, you know, then Quake can grow and we can get more coverage and more tournaments, etc. So like us on Facebook /leveluptv. And then Twitter, yeah, guess what? It's /leveluptv, so follow us on that. And that's where we post when we're going live. So you can just get an alert and see our live streams. We always do these things live because we're too lazy to do it, you know, post-production kind of stuff. We do it all live. We do a lot of tournament coverage, clan-based, ESL, G-Sports, DreamHack, obviously we've done live, etc. We've done loads of events, both at LAN events and, well, mostly online, isn't it? So always covering Quake, and we hope to do some more videos towards these map rundowns. But until then, thanks for joining us, and remember to do those things I just told you to do. Goodbye.